Today's video we're going to take a look at a new knife from Schrade that actually has a name which fits, I believe. This is the Jethro. Uncle Jed would be proud. And we're going to find out, by the way, if a knife this big can actually be balanced. Coming up on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. This video is going to be about a brand new knife that the folks at Schrade were kind enough to send me so I could show to you. They're calling this one the Jethro. So not only did they name a knife, which happens very rarely, but I think they gave it a pretty cool name, to be honest with you. The Jethro. And all I can say is I think Uncle Jed would like this one. So let's take a look at the details of this thing. We'll get to doing some of that Jethro stuff. Alright, well this is the Schrade SCHF48 Jethro full tang fixed blade. This knife features an 11.89 inch drop point blade of 3CR13 titanium coated stainless steel with a 6.14 inch TPE handle slab. Knife has a finger guard and a choil. The handle slab has finger grooves and a lanyard hole. It comes with a nylon fiber belt sheath with grommet holes and a shoulder strap or belt loop. The overall length of the Jethro is 18 inches and it weighs a little over 1.5 pounds. Okay, well that's some of the specs and close-ups of the Jethro. Man, I like that name. I think that's the coolest knife name I may have ever heard. So anyway, that's the SCHF48 Jethro from the folks at Schrade, and it's got that kind of big TPE shaped handle that you've seen on some of their other models. I think the SCH45 and maybe, I can't remember all the numbers to be honest with you, but it's a pretty comfortable handle. It lends itself well to chopping. It's got a little bit of a flare here on the butt and very comfortable. They've got that fine jimping they've started doing on some knives, and you know what? I could probably do without it. I don't know that in this particular place where it's at, I don't really know that it serves any function, because typically jimmy's going to be for control. You know, I'm not going to chop with my thumb on the back. Probably I'm going to chop more with a wrist action, and this is primarily going to be a chopper. I mean, it's a big knife. It does have the finger choil, so you can maybe get close up and do some work, but you know, the blade that still only starts is still over an inch from the choil to where the cutting edge starts. So we'll see how well that works. But again, primarily it's going to be a chopper. They've got this little extra hole here, so you can put a different lanyard configuration on to keep it in your hand. It is a full tang, but it does not have an exposed butt. So, and it's got kind of a false edge up top. So here's what I thought we'd do. Before I take you down to the stump top, I want to talk real briefly about knife reviews. I mean, pretty much over and over and over you see me and a lot of other people do the same thing with knives. And I've tried to start doing some different stuff lately, but to be honest with you, the bottom line is there's a reason for doing the same things over and over, because those are kind of a standard test that you want to do. So in my opinion, if you start leaving some of that stuff out, it may make for a less repetitive or maybe more interesting video, but it does not necessarily do what we need to do as far as showing the capabilities of a tool. So I think, you know, look, we're going to baton, we're going to chop, we're going to carve feathers, try to carve feathers and try to start a fire, and that's the same thing over and over and over, and I get that, but those are what you do and what you expect to do with a utility blade or an all-purpose blade. You know, you want to make sure it meets all those criteria and it handles all those tasks very well. So that's what we're going to do this time. So let's take this thing down to the old stump top and get busy. So before we get down to the stump top, I almost forgot, I want to show you the sheath. It's got one of those kind of plastic molded sheaths, and it's got a lot of grommet holes all around it for lashing. It fits in here like so, and it definitely snaps in, but it's not going to be solid, super solid retention like a, you know, it'll come out if it had to. And it's got a Velcro strap up here. And then this has got two different ways of carrying it. It's got a shoulder kind of baldric strap. No leg straps or anything, so you can hang this around your shoulder if you want to carry it like that, or it's got a belt loop with a pass-through belt loop on it, and it's going to kind of hang at a little bit of a cant, which is probably about what you want. But it's got enough of a play on this back side so it'll swivel a little bit on your belt. even though the front's pretty straight. Having this angle here is going to allow it to have a little bit of, this will be a pivot point here, and it's going to swivel a little on your belt. I mean, it's not going to be like a dangler, but it's going to give you a little bit of a swivel there, so that might be more comfortable, more useful. So, and the shoulder sheath is detachable. It's got little clips here, so you can use it or not use it, which I think is a good feature. So now let's get down to the old stump top. Okay, so I have got a piece of poplar here. It's been raining here, by the way, in my home state of Georgia for about the last solid week. So this thing is pretty wet. But go with, and you can see the bark there is just really wet. So, and I know I said this was kind of a kookery design, but it really doesn't have too much of the recurve in it here. It's barely a little bit of recurve right here, but the reality is it's almost just a straight, more like a bolo. So, anyway, having said that, let's get this somewhere I can chop it, and we're going to see how well it chops first. Okay. Wow, it bites pretty good. All right, let's get you out of the way. Now we'll take this one and we'll baton this and try to get some dry wood out of the middle. By the way, I just want to show you how slimy wet that is right there. Okay, now you can see. All right, so we're already split off. Not good. Just okay, so obviously baton's okay, chops really well. Let's do a little fine carving here. Okay, so without the finger choil, you're out probably 2.5 inches from your grip, so that's not going to be that's not a recipe for control. But using the choil, you get about 1 inch from it, and still not the greatest recipe for control. This belly and this blade really does a pretty decent job. But I would like to see this part here be sharper, to be honest with you. Just having a hard time really getting enough control on it. I'm going to try something somebody else has told me about. Take this, stab it in here like so. Okay, and then this is what a couple people have suggested I do, and then pull the wood to make feathers. Mosquitoes are wearing me out still. It's the middle of November and we got mosquitoes everywhere here in Georgia still. Or at least in my area we do. I think this is a pretty neat idea actually. You can see I can get those really fine feathers. It takes a little practice getting used to doing this to keep them on the stick. So they don't have to stay on the stick. Man, you can really, you're right, wow, you can look at that. Wow. You can get some really fine little feathers there. Pretty interesting. So again, that was suggested to me by several different people in comments over the last year or so. So I thought I'd give it a shot, and it actually does pretty well. Let's try it on a brand new piece and see what we can get here. The trick is to not over dig it. Of course, that's the trick with any kind of feathers. Just want to check that technique out. For people have suggested. I like it, by the way. I think it definitely, I need to work on my technique and practice, but I think it's a good technique and I think it's going to work. In a lot of cases, give you a little more control as long as you have something to stab it into. So I thought we'll take these feathers here and put them down here, We'll take these feathers here and put them up here, and we'll see what we can do with this thing with a ferro rod. Got the old Schrade ferro rod. This does not come included with this blade, but got this from a different one. And we're just gonna put it down here the way I do it normally, and see what we can do. First, let's see if, oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, okay, so here we go. So with a knife this big, I generally do the pull method. Depends on the knife, which method I use. And it's a little tougher because you can't really direct the sparks where you want them. But it's so big, it's hard to really do it any other way. Alright, carved out some more feathers here. Let's try again. See if we can do something with it. Again, this poplar's just kind of been sitting out here in the moisture, so even though we got to the inside of it, it's still kind of dry probably. Let's see if I can get it bunched together there and just... Alright, finally, looks like it might be going to take. It's trying. Is it burning? Come on, baby, burn, baby, burn. Yes. Be gentle, 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 gentle. Okie dokie. Okay, we have come to time in the testing process where we check what may be the most critical factor in whether or not a knife is a good choice. You know, we have tried, this thing batons like a champ. I mean, it does a great job. It's a big hunk of steel. Chopping, man, it chops great. This may be one of the best chopping knives I've ever used. It absolutely does a great job on that. Fine carving, quite honestly, it leaves a little to be desired. I mean, it's a big 18-inch blade. It actually did pretty well with the stabbing in and pulling. That's a technique I need to work on, but it's a great technique. It's got a great sharp 90-degree spine. It's a great job of striking a ferro rod, just once we got the dry wood enough. But all that's great, you know, but really and truly, what do you want? All in chopping and carving and all that, you know, whatever, right? What do you really care about in a knife? That's right, I know. It's balance. Okay, well that was the Schrade SCHF48, or as it is more fondly known, the Jethro. Thanks again to the folks at Schrade for sending me this so I can show it to you. Honestly, this is seriously probably one of the best chopping knives I've ever used. It chops and bites and does a great job on that. I think that's the bolo style kind of. It's kind of a bolo slash kukri style, but it's more of a bolo in my opinion. The only thing that makes it like a kukri is the angle of the handle. So it's kind of a blend of a couple different styles, but it works great. And looking for a really cool, different design with a great name, I want to check out the Jethro from the folks at Schrade. As always, thanks for watching Survival on Purpose. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking that thumbs up, for sharing it with your friends, for watching those ads. And thank you so much for shopping on Amazon through the Survival on Purpose links. I sincerely appreciate it. Once again, my name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. See you next time. I don't know where to start. I stepped out from behind the shadow of that tree and I was blinded. So let's try again. Okay, so this got one of those molded plastic kind of sheaths. School bus. Let's just see how well it chops. Okay. I'll do, so